Is it possible to install Windows once and use it for 10 years or more without problems and reinstallation? Yes, today this is completely normal situation and I have prepared a guide for you how to achieve this. We no longer live in the time of Windows XP. I remember that back then I reinstalled Windows for myself and my friends once a year stably, or even more often because it became impossible to work. In this video you will learn how to ensure that your Windows works stably and you do not need to reinstall it. All programs, configure everything again. This is a necessary stress. We will consider what most often leads to reinstallation of Windows and the steps that will allow you to never reinstall it. Subscribe to the pcnp channel and comment on the contents of the video. What are the main reasons why a user decides to reinstall Windows? There will be 10 of them. The first one, viruses and malware that cannot be removed. The system starts to slow down, your messenger or account is hacked, ads open, suspicious process or load on the internet and other resources appear, and some programs simply do not start. These are symptoms of viruses, and the easiest way to get rid of them is to format the disk and install a clean Windows. Second, severe system errors. They appear in the form of death screens, constant reboots, or the system doesn't start at all. Third, severe system clutter. So much cache, temporary files and other data accumulates that Windows works much slower. Takes a long time to load and the user thinks that it is better to start everything from scratch to restore performance. The fourth, Windows updates with bugs. Everything is simple here. Updated Windows automatically as recommended by Microsoft, and that's it. A black screen, errors, the user decides to reinstall. The fifth, experiments with tweaks, registry and drivers. Each action leads to its own result, and interference with the system stuffing can lead to some violations, especially if you deleted an important system file or service. If the user cannot return everything to normal, then he has only one option, reinstallation. The sixth, a crashed bootloader or system partition. The Windows bootloader is actually very simple and can be rewritten manually, but if it is damaged, the Windows system will not boot either, the computer turns into a piece of iron, and the Windows Clean installation program completely rewrites the bootloader, restoring it but erasing all your work in the previous system. Seventh, lost the password for the account. Without it you cannot log into Windows. What to do if you do not know how to restore it? Then the only option is reinstallation. Damaged hard drive, the system reboots or doesn't even boot, the disk is 100%, frequent errors, you might think that Windows is covered and start reinstalling it, but the problem isn't in it. The ninth, hardware change. Windows won't start after replacing the motherboard, it seems that you need to reinstall it. And the 10th, you installed so many programs and different utilities that you don't know how to sort it all out and go back. It's easier to reinstall everything from scratch. You can list more, but these are the main reasons, and over the years of experimenting with Windows, I have experienced almost all of them. In many cases, everything can be returned to normal, or you can do something in advance to prevent this from happening. But if you still need to reinstall Windows, then look at my detailed instructions, they will help you to do it right. And now let's consider steps that will help prevent or correct these 10 reasons, and then you will no need to reinstall Windows. And step 1, correct installation of Windows and backups. To ensure that there are never any problems with the system, you need to initially have a stable build. To do this, download from the official website or one that you definitely trust. Choose a stable version that has already received enough updates and fixes. So for Windows 10 this is 22H2, the latest available. Windows 11, 24H2, or most likely 23H2 for older systems. Do not rush to install a build that has just been released. You also take a risk if you use builds from private authors. In this video, I talked about how to download any build from official Microsoft servers. After installing Windows, update it by downloading all cumulative updates through the Update Center. They will close security holes and bugs found over time. Then install only the programs you need to configure them. Run this for a week or more to make sure everything is running as smoothly as possible, but keep the system as clean as possible during this time. And now the moment has come when your ideal system is ready for backup. The simplest and most minimal option is to create a restore point. You need to enable this function, allocate enough space for it, and create your own point, giving it a name. It will save the state of the registry, system files, drivers, and system settings. A more advanced option, if you have enough space on the disk or on the network storage, is a backup of drive C. You can clone it directly or use a backup program. Here are several free program options. We will not go into detail about them. This is a separate topics, but it is better to choose those that are burning to a flash drive and start from the BIOS. Then they can be launched and a copy of the system can be restored if something happens. This option can cover all the reasons for installing Windows, but it has its drawbacks. For example, you can lose data, programs and work projects made after the backup. They should be additionally copied from safety, for example, to the cloud. Step 2. Protect yourself from viruses and malware. It seems that we are going to talk about antivirus. Not necessarily. I'm not against antiviruses, they are useful especially for novice users, but I don't use them myself. In my systems, the built-in antivirus is disabled to improve performance, although it is good in itself and protects against major viruses. But more important is not the antivirus program, but the hygiene of using the internet. Just like washing your hands is more important than having medicine. Here are some effective tips. Download programs or archives only from trusted, well-known sites. They usually check them for viruses. Do not open suspicious links in email or instant messengers. Today this is the most common way of hacking. By clicking on the link and downloading the file, you yourself give access to your device. If in doubt, contact the sender in another way or check the link or file in the online antivirus virus total. It will show the reaction of dozens of antiviruses to this file. Here some can give a false reaction and show that there are a virus. You need to focus on the majority and more reputable antiviruses. Step 3. Maintain the system like a car. Every driver has a service plan, oil change, filters and much more. If you violate it, there will be more serious problems, up to a major overhaul. The same with the computer. If you don't want a major reinstallation, you need to service it regularly. What this includes? Cleaning up junk, removing unnecessary programs, disabling unnecessary startups, and optional disable updates and periodically enable them for manual updates. We have separate videos about each of these points, links in description. Also, all these actions can be done for free using my PC No Problems program. I made this program precisely to simplify high-quality computer maintenance. Here you can thoroughly clean it from junk, disable startup programs, and also remove completely unnecessary programs, both built-in and those that you have not used for a long time. And the Pro version has even more features. For example, the program itself will notify you when you need to clean your PC, and you can configure the frequency of messages and how many gigabytes of garbage must accumulate for the program to notify you about it. It will also track programs that you do not use, will give you the ability to disable or enable updates and Windows antivirus with one button, and much more. This is better to watch and try it separately. More than 100,000 users have already tried the program, and I have hundreds of good reviews on hand. Let's continue. What else can we do to never reinstall Windows? With the previous 3 steps, we have already covered 5 problems leading to reinstallation. Let's figure out what's left. To avoid these problems, minimize the risks of experimenting with Windows optimization. The more interference in the system, the greater the risk of damaging it. But at the same time, the right intervention can improve it. First, don't install too many tweaking programs to speed up and clean the system. That's why I've put together different functions in my pcnp program, all in one place, and I'm gradually adding new features. And if you use a lot of such programs at the same time, there is a higher risk that one of them will break something, or a conflict will arise between the programs. Second, if you want to conduct an experiment, use a virtual machine for testing. I have Oracle VirtualBox, and if anything happens, reinstall Windows there. Another option is to install another Windows on a separate partition of the hard drive specifically for testing. This way you will protect your main working system from failures and will apply to it only what is really useful. Third, study the commands and options for restoring the system from the system itself. For example, there are such commands. Remember to create a restore points and learn how to boot in safe mode as well as in recovery menu to fix even serious system errors. To solve the problem with the bootloader, you need to find instructions on it and the commands for it. I had a video about this. It is always useful to have a bootable Windows flash drive, to go to the command line from it and recreate the bootloader using several commands. So do not reinstall the system with such a problem. The next password problem is solved in a similar way, via a bootable USB flash drive, command prompt and a couple of tricks. Here is detailed instruction in this video. I think this video has so many links to other videos, so you should save this video to a separate playlist, for example in watch later section, so you will not lose it and will be able to find many useful instructions on my channel to restore your Windows. But this problem unfortunately leads to reinstalling Windows, but not on the same disk but on a new one. Most likely, if the hard drive is damaged, then reinstalling Windows or resetting it will occur with errors. In this case, stop working as soon as possible, connect it to another computer and save important files that can still be copied. After that, you will need to replace the hard drive with a new one. And finally, you replaced all the hardware except the hard drive. Do you need to reinstall Windows? Not necessarily. Often Windows will boot itself. If it doesn't want to, use the installation flash drive, go to the recovery environment, troubleshooting, startup repair. Also try the command in command prompt if there is a binding to a specific hardware. And one more option, try booting in safe mode and remove old drivers. Of course, all this will most likely work on Windows 11 or maybe 10, they have great support for new devices, but if you updated the hardware, specifically changing the generation of the computer, most likely you need to reinstall Windows. Also, if the activation of Windows was tied to the hardware, you will need a new activation key. Well, we've covered the most basic principles that in 90% of cases will help you avoid reinstalling Windows for years or even longer. Write about your experience in the comments. I wonder how often you have to reinstall and in what cases you did it. Subscribe to the pcnp channel and watch other videos using links in description.